assisting and helping, but this is our first go round as an actual owner of a project and seeing that from start to finish. And we've certainly, learned from it. Like you said, this is our V2 of ApeLab, so we've certainly had our hiccups along the way. But what we've learned in that is obviously learning from those mistakes and creating a better product moving forward. And we haven't looked at them as setbacks. We've looked at them as learning opportunities. And in every one of those, we have learned something and corrected to make sure it doesn't happen again. And what we found really valuable is setting up the pieces in place so that we can recognize when the path we're going down is not going to be successful or is not the right path to go down, whether that's in development or marketing or with partnerships or any component of that, and then being able to recognize that and make the necessary corrections so that we can ensure that we're continuing to be successful. So it's been a journey, but we're glad where we're at right now. We're glad for what we've been able to build. So the utility has all been built in-house. We've all used our real-world experiences with project management, with application development, with coding to build this utility in-house. We've only had to freelance a few components of it, and most of that was to speed up our timeline. So we're really excited to be able to say that we have the capabilities to not only host the utility, but to continue to innovate and improve it and troubleshoot it in-house, which was really big for us. It was important that we were able to build something that was within our wheelhouse and that we weren't reliant on having to, hire a full-time outside individual that may not share in our vision or our passion in order to successfully run it.
I think you hit the nail with the hammer on that approach. Most individuals, they do have to outsource, like you say, which means that the developers may not necessarily understand their vision, but then the troubleshooting is always the biggest key. And I think that's a really comforting thing for investors to know that that all of the utilities, all of the developments are all built in-house. So that should give people a sense of security with investing their money, because the owners, the developer, they're going to have their project in their best interest to make sure that there aren't any bugs, any hiccups. And if they are there, it should be quickly attended to. So that's actually really comforting for investors, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to say that we haven't had bugs or hiccups. In my real life job, we help develop software applications for large corporations, and I will tell you, we generally go through months of testing in a test environment, because the reality is when you're coding from scratch and you're building application from scratch, there's gonna be hiccups along the way, and there's going to be things that you won't necessarily catch until you're in an actual functioning environment and users are using that product, and then they find something that's not working, or it causes a latency or a lag or any of those things. And so we've recognized that, and we're quick to address that and to test that and to make the necessary corrections. So really, it's about, like you said, it's about having the team in place that we can actually do that in-house and support that, and we're not having to wait a month or two because we've hired an outside developer and they've moved on to another project, and now they're don't have the time to come back to ours or anything like that. So that was definitely important when we initially started talking about what can we bring to the space, that it was within our capabilities to build and to be able to manage. And so, for anyone that was maybe on the fence, for us, the most powerful thing is actually being able to showcase something. And so that's why it was really important for us before we really started pushing marketing and everything that we actually had a product that an individual could go out and experience and look at and feel and understand a little bit of our vision of what's to come. And so, we like to speak through our actions and not necessarily just our words. And so that was a big component of that, and why we feel like we're an undervalued gem in this space is because we really haven't pushed anything extensively while we've been building this product, because we wanted the product to do the talking for us. And quite honestly, when we talk about how we're going to advertise to the future and how we're going to continue to build a user base and support, it's going to be around the product. We're going to be advertising to the product. We're going to be advertising to getting projects using the Launchpad and using our charting and using our advertising and using these features. And that in turn is going to feed back into the token. And so that's kind of the approach we want to take is advertising and building around the utility and around the platform. And because we've integrated everything, it's inevitably then going to feed into the token.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk about the Launchpad. I think it's extremely bullish that you guys are in the process of competing with a handful of decentralized launchpads. The two top, obviously, that are used, PinkSale, of course, and DexSale. How long did it take you guys to actually work and develop your Launchpad? Because it is completely ready, and you guys are getting ready to release it next week, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the 14th. So that Launchpad is ready to go on the 14th.
So how long did it take you guys to actually construct it to develop it?
We've been at it about 6 months. About 6 solid months. We have been. I mean, we've put off commitments to family. We put on late nights where we could have been out doing something else. It's been a long 6 months. So it has not been an overnight process. And for anyone that thinks that putting something like this together overnight, it's just absolutely not. So it's been a 6 month nonstop process, collaboration amongst us to get to where we are now with our Launchpad. And you're absolutely right. It's our goal with this Launchpad is a fully decentralized, open protocol Launchpad. So when you think of that specifically, there really are two, and you've mentioned both of them. Those are the two big players in that space. A lot of the other smaller Launchpads that you're seeing, they're catering to a certain audience, or they're doing some level of filtering, so they're only going to launch specific projects. We are aimed to be a completely open protocol Launchpad. So those are the two big players in that space, or Pink and DX. And so that's our competition.
And definitely, most people are definitely tired of it. So, all right. So, I think I definitely found you guys. Well, let me not say I found, because like I said, I've been in you guys' TG since December, just kind of getting back, revisiting the Telegram and seeing the updates with the partnerships with IDO pre-sales. That's what really prompted me to get back in and look at your chart. So let's talk about your chart. So for me, when I went through and I saw that the utility was done, I saw the locker, I saw the staking platform was ready to go, and I looked at the market cap, and at the time, you guys' market cap was $262,000. That was the market cap. And I was actually on a VC with my team, with my marketing team. And I literally stopped this and I said, hey guys, I shared the chart, shared you guys TG, and I said, you guys need to look at this right now. And I ate in like 8 beans or something like that, because I knew you guys were severely undervalued, and I knew I was early to the party, and I think we all are. right now, I see you guys' market cap is just over 300K. Can you tell us about that? I mean, because most projects with this much utility, they're usually in the 2, 3, 4, or $5 million market cap. Can you tell us why you guys are, still a low cap gem, and where you guys hope to be over the next couple of months?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I said it earlier, we're at the start line of our finish line, right? And so we haven't done very much in the way of intense marketing, because like I said, we're not trying to market ourselves as a pump and dump. We're not trying to market ourselves in those traditional kind of get all the hype, hope for a really big pump, and then inevitably watch it crash. So our goal was always, we want to market around our utility, and we want to bring in investors that understand that and that are gonna be long-term investors. And so I'll talk a little bit about our future, what I foresee as our future with that. But so that's really why we are where we're at right now, where we have all of this utility, but we're still very, in my opinion, and I think in most individuals' opinions, we're still very undervalued for what we're bringing to the table compared to most other projects you see. We're very undervalued, but a lot of that is because we wanted to have our utility ready to go and to be able to showcase that and actually apply that utility before we really start pushing into that marketing space. And so that's kind of where we're at now, is we've done like a more intense marketing week this week, where we paid for Coinzilla to do their blitz marketing campaign. We've been announcing these partnerships. I've been in AMAs all week, so we've really started to kind of kick off the fun marketing week. And then really what our goal is to start applying focus on pushing that utility. And we'll talk about how the utility kind of feeds back into the token itself, because we feel like we've done an approach that as that utility ramps up, that token is going to be directly tied into that success as well. So yeah, awesome. I mean, that's really why you're seeing it. And so we've seen a large uptick this week. At the beginning of this week, we were at like 150,000, and I think we're about a 2x from our low point in the last 3 weeks. So we've seen a lot of success, but we've also we've also kind of have experimented and seen where we don't want to be in this space. And so, for instance, you see that red line right there. We'll be candid and honest about that. We feel like those are the investors that purchased in that are what you would call those traditional pump and dump investors. And then they're listening to these AMAs and they're listening to our story, and we're talking about long-term success with this project, and they're going, wait, you guys aren't out to do like blitz marketing campaigns where you're going to hype it to get a 20x and then let it tumble. And we're not trying to get those investors. And so it seems like some of those may have exited this space. I'm confident that some of those individuals are going to come back later, especially once this utility really starts to kick off. But that's, we've built a dedicated investor base that understands the value in holding this for a little longer term. And so that's what we're going to continue to do. And I'll jump right in and say, as far as how it benefits you, the holder. So our Launchpad, this is kind of our biggest features, is the Launchpad stands out in a couple ways from DX and PinkSale. The biggest one is that our pricing structure is completely different. So it's 2% of whatever is raised for the launch is what we're charging, and then it's a flat fee of 0.5 BNB. We do not take team tokens. So DX and PinkSale, you want to go launch on them, they're going to mandate that you give them tokens. And
Yep.
we saw it the other month. There was one where, they ended up selling like 75K worth of those tokens at the most inopportune time. As you're riding a wave up, they dump on it, and then it's extremely hard to recover from that. So we don't agree with that philosophy. We don't agree that it should be something like that, because they're not invested at all in your project. They're launching 20, 30 projects a day. They could care less. They're going to sell it when it's convenient for them. And so we don't believe in that approach, and we're not going to take that approach. So we feel that's going to stand us out. And then the other one is, obviously our fee structure is cheaper than either of those options. We're running a campaign this month, and probably into next month, that if you launch with us and your launch is unsuccessful, we will waive that 0.5 BNB. So it's literally free to launch with us if you don't sell. All of those other launch pads, even if you don't sell out, you still owe them the flat fee that they're charging. And then for investors, how does any of this benefit you? And so 33% of what's raised goes to you. So we're taking 2% off the top. 33% of that goes directly back into Ape tokens. So it's bought back and burned. And it's built into the pre-sale contract. So it's not even a manual move.
That's huge. That's huge. Let me stop you there. All right. So just for the folks that didn't hear, okay, so you guys are charging 0.5 BNB to list tokens on your Launchpad, right? It's 0.5. However, you guys are not accepting, or y'all are not taking team tokens. So y'all are not taking team vesting tokens for projects. And the first month, if you do not sell your soft cap, hard cap, you don't sell, the 0.5 fee is waived. All that's correct.
That's correct.
All right. I just wanted to reiterate that, because we have some owners, we have a lot of folks that are on our VC now as well. They also help out. They do a lot of marketing, pre-launch marketing for projects. So that's extremely beneficial, for those guys, for us, myself to hear. I think that's huge for projects. I think a lot of projects now, they've been going where they've been raising small private sales, and they've been doing more fair launching because they wanted to avoid all those high fees from, the other launch pads. So hearing this, I think that this would definitely motivate a lot of projects to definitely use ApeLab. And as well, you guys also have a TG set up for AMAs as well. So projects that want to, list their tokens, they're on ApeLab, you guys also host AMAs for them as well.
So you're absolutely correct. So, our goal wasn't ever to be the premier, like, in the AMA space, but we recognize that we have something we can offer with that, as well as we can start to build those relationships with developers, with the community, with those type of individuals. So, we absolutely, as part of that kind of pre-launch package, we'll look at doing an AMA with them. And the other great thing, and this is where we feel that we really, really stand apart and where we can really sell, is that, we haven't even touched on our charting. And so our charting is all integrated within the same application. And so we're going to be able to offer you advertising on our charting. And then you have to keep in mind that as that charting gains mainstream recognition, you're going to have, countless projects that are using that charting in their Telegram. So they're using the charting bot. There's individuals that are going in on established projects and checking that chart every day. And what are they going to see? They're going to see integrated right in their top trending pre-sales. They're going to see your project on those advertising channels. They're going to see your project on the pre-sale. They're going to be able to very easily just with a click of a button, hey, I wonder what's going on today, and what pre-sales are coming up. They're going to be able to click right over and see
That's
all
huge.
of the pre-sales and be able to filter for it. So it's about that integrated experience, which none of the other platforms offer. You'd have to directly know you want to go check out, a pre-sale on PinkSale and go check that out. With this, there's going to be so much that just inadvertently they're going to see it and get curious and jump in, and they're going to see all of that. So
It's a one-stop
that's
shop.
where that exactly.
Yeah, I've navigated through your website countless times over the last 4 days because I needed to stake my tokens, and I've seen all that. I've seen that you have spots for trending. You guys have everything literally there, including the chart. I know that the chart looks really good as well. I think it works a little bit best on the laptop.
Yes. So I
But
will tell you that we're pushing an API update to have it work a little bit better on mobile. So it was working great on mobile up till about a week ago, and then we started seeing some latency issues where it takes a while to load up. So we have been diagnosing that throughout the week, and we're going to push an update so that mobile experience kicks back up.
Okay, all right, good deal. It's good. It's really good to hear. Really good to hear. All right. I wanted to open it up. Anime, do you have any questions?
No questions, man. This is a really good project. Everything I've seen from the charts to the launch pads into minting, staking, man. I really like the staking. It's a bit different from other staking platforms I've used.
Yeah. Let me talk about that really quick. So our
I was
staking
gonna
is
tell you to talk about that because not everybody.
Yeah. So I don't think a lot of individuals, so when they ask, how does the token play into the utility? So my opinion on what I see in this space is I see individuals that have good utility, and they almost they forget that they're in crypto. And so then at the last minute, they're kind of like, oh, well, we need a token because we're in crypto and it doesn't make sense that we don't have a token. So they'll throw a token out there, but it doesn't really tie back into the utility in any way. So, Pink and DX would be prime examples. Their token literally plays no value in the Launchpad or vice versa. So if you're a holder of that token, launching 50, 100 projects a day doesn't benefit you in any way. It's not doing anything. And then the opposite of that is that you get individuals that create a token, and then after the fact, they're scrambling to create a utility, and so they don't really integrate well together. And so with us, we talked about the Launchpad, 33% automatically. It's built into the contract. It's bought back and burned into the token, and so that's going to be adding liquidity to the token. The burn is going to be, hyper deflating that supply. And then for you, if you're staking, you're going to be getting a piece of that because our staking is built off of the buy and sell tax. So if you're staked, you're going to constantly, especially as we ramp up and, let's say 6 months from now, we have 50 projects launching a day and they're selling out 300-400 BNB hard cap. 33% of that is constantly going into that project. And if you're staked, that's income. That's BNB that you can cash out at any point in time.
Wow, this price, and I'm saying this not as a trying to give a biased call or prediction, but I can definitely see with everything that's happening with all these reputable partnerships with all of this utility, I can honestly say that with all the projects that we sift through, that we get across our TG, not just our desk every single day, this by far is leading the pack hands down as far as what you guys are offering. And I can definitely say that in the next couple of months, there's this chart will easily be in the multi-millions, easily, because it's just, who wouldn't want to use it? I mean, a few things, with the staking, you're receiving BNB rewards. I mean, just alone the fact that you guys are going up against, PinkSale, DexSale. There's thousands of projects that are being released now, reputable and some not reputable. The space needs more launch pads. You know what I mean? Like we're in a space where projects are coming out so much, and you only have like I said, just really a couple launch pads. So there's definitely a need for your utility, and it's definitely set for success from what we've seen. So congrats on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that. There's it's just nice hearing that what we've built, for individuals is something that is appreciated, and we certainly felt that it was needed. I understand we're not, we've said it, we're not reinventing the wheel here. There's launch pads out there and there's charting out there, but we feel that we can offer a better experience with it, and we can challenge some of those things that they're doing today that aren't right, but they're not going to change because no one's forcing them to change. Team tokens is a prime example. You go with either of those launch pads, which are really your only two main choices in this space, right? And they're going to mandate tokens. There's no way around it. So you can't get out of that. And so you're right. You're seeing projects that are hosting their own private cells or things of that nature, to try to circumvent that, because people are sick of it. And until individuals like ourselves challenge them and stand up for it, we're not going to see that change, because they have zero incentive to change. They have no space. They have no competition in this space. And so we understand it's going to be a daunting challenge to go up against those big players in this space, but we feel we have a product that we can put front and center and advertise around, and showcase and prove through that product that we can challenge those players. And it just takes one. I mean, that was really what set PinkSale off, is it took one good project to go 20, 30x, and for people to go, hey, that project had success because they launched on ApeLab, because ApeLab was able to give them X, Y, Z, and then everyone will start following. So it's only a matter of time before that one project takes off, and then it brings that focus and attention to what we've created, and then it just kicks off. And so we're just waiting for that catalyst, and we're doing everything we can through these partnerships, through these deals, through these AMAs, to bring that catalyst to us. And as soon as that happens, you're absolutely right. I would not be surprised to see this completely take off in the near future. And we feel like it's going to take off more than most because of how that utility ties back into the token. So there's incentive, not only incentive to use the utility because of what we're offering, but there's incentive for an individual to then buy into the token and hold that long term as well.
Right. So and that brings me to another question, because I was in your TG about 2 days ago, and I saw a few investors, folks in your community asking about tier systems, and I did see one of the mods reply that there is no tier system. So one thing I do want to ask is, for holders that are holding ApeLab and say they've staked, do they get any whitelist opportunities or any incentives? Are you guys giving any incentives for your current holders as you guys start to launch new projects? Will that give the community any early access? Maybe some might be able to get into maybe some of the private round if some projects are getting coming to you that early, or will they get pre-sale access? Can you talk about that? Is that anything that you guys are considering to do for your holders? That way it kind of gives them some, gives them a leg up on some of the new projects that you guys are going to get ready to launch.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been asked that. And as of right now, our answer to that is no. We don't, that certainly could change in the future if we felt that the risk outweighed or the reward outweighed the risk, but it's a turnoff for us. It's been a turnoff for me for projects on Unicrypt, if I know that, I need to hold X amount in order to get on that tier one. And the reality is I feel that if I'm a small investor and I have one BNB and I know that I'm going to have to spend a quarter of that BNB to first purchase another token that I had, that I wasn't looking at in order to participate in that pre-sale, and now I've had my value, that I may not participate at all. So we don't want to create that approach where we're dictating those terms to potential projects that want to launch with us. If they want to create a whitelist, that's great. And however they want to distribute those whitelists, but we are not going to mandate a tier system or an early access system. And I understand the benefits to that. I understand that could create some additional incentive to hold. But the reality is it would probably create incentive to hold for a very short term for select individuals specific to whatever pre-sale that is. And then they're going to turn around and probably liquidate that. So it's not necessarily how we want to attract investors in. We have talked about, with our charting especially, and some of the other utility that we're rolling out, is some premium features to that. So we're designing right now a wallet tracker that's going to be able to track all of your tokens and tell you, at the price you purchased into project whatever on BSC and what the price is now. And so you're going to be able to kind of get like a snapshot of all of the projects you purchased in at, what price point you purchased in at, where it's at now, and then a very quick, easy, obviously, ability to open up the chart for that through our charting app. So that's something we talked about as like a premium feature that'll require you to hold X amount of tokens in order to access some of those premium features. So we've talked about that as a way to kind of do that, but for the Launchpad itself, we're not going to do like a tier system.
Okay, no, that answers my question then. Okay, and that makes sense. That definitely makes sense, and I think that's also a way to to safeguard your community members as well that may not have necessarily done a lot of homework on certain projects, that may think, okay, let me just ape in project, not really knowing the full scope of what that project may offer. So I can definitely understand that. I probably should have asked this earlier, but where did you guys come up with the name ApeLab? Like, it's a very marketable name, but why ApeLab?
So the lab part was really, something that we, just because we were always talking about how we need to get back in the lab to create utility. So it's kind of a phrase that we were throwing around, like, all right, well, what's going to be next on our list? Well, let's get back in the lab and look at that. And so the lab part kind of came, and the ape was really because, we feel like everyone in this space is aping in. We're all degens, and degens don't use fancy terminology like investing. We all talk about how we're going to ape in and everything. And so the ape part kind of connected with what we're doing as a utility. Is we're in the laboratory and we're really just designing new utility every day. And so that was kind of how it kind of came together. And we felt it was really catchy. Obviously, our logo kind of plays to both of those aspects. And, it's aping in is just something we all do here. And so it's not any more complicated than that, but we do love it.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and open up some questions here. See if anyone has any questions. So now's you guys' chance. Whether it's I know we have a couple of people that are doing some text typing, but if anyone has any questions, please come forward and ask your questions. That way you can get the answers you need to this wonderful project.
Yeah, I'll speak for some people that are doing some text questions. Ace, he said, my question is, if you want to rival existing launchpads, What are some edge? What is an edge that you have over existing launch pads?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think we covered some of that, but we'll focus on, I talked about the cost structure, right? That we don't demand team tokens. We have a better cost structure. It's going to be cheaper for you to launch on our Launchpad without sacrificing service. Obviously, if you're a token holder, how it plays back into the to the token itself with the 33%. But for a developer, the biggest we feel the biggest advantage and the biggest incentive is going to be that we have the fully integrated ecosystem. So if you're a new developer, it's very easy to submit a token and get it onto our platform. That's one thing. It's very easy to do. It's a couple clicks for you to be able to list a token. You have full integration, so you have the ability to not only host your pre-sale with us, but then you're going to be able to roll right around and do advertising. You're going to be able to do your charting, your Telegram price spot, all of that's happening. And then we're going to be able to show how you're able to connect with a huge group of potential investors because our utility is being utilized across the crypto space, from the charting and the advertising and the voting. And all of those different components are going to allow very easy access for potential investors to jump into your project.
Yeah, great, man. And I like how it's only 0.5 to get started on the Launchpad.
Yeah, exactly. 0.5 to get started. We're going to waive that for this first month because we really want to get those projects starting to come in. But even afterwards, it's a very cost-effective route compared to, again, the other competitors in this space.
Yeah, great. And then Comey asks, do you have any marketing plans that can increase your buyers or investors in the next coming weeks?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Like I said, we're gonna continue to market around the utility. Now that we have that Launchpad out, we're gonna market around getting projects to use that Launchpad and then explaining the benefits of holding with the 33%, being able to showcase that actually happening, and then turning around and starting to develop some marketing material around the staking, because that's the biggest benefit if you're a holder, is that you're staked, you're earning BNB rewards. We have done some mock-ups that showcase how much those rewards would pay out at certain volume points, depending on how much you hold. And so we'll continue to market around the utility. We'll continue to host, AMAs as we've been doing. We'll continue to push that, but most importantly, we're going to focus on how do we get projects to launch off our Launchpad and start advertising with us using our charting and the Telegram, because all of that exposure is going to feed back into ApeLab.
Great. And then somebody from actually our group, Bonds of Crypto, asked, what are your short-term objectives and what are you focusing on right now?
Yeah, so obviously, very short-term is being able to launch, right? Bring out the Launchpad, make sure that we're obviously going to be tweaking everything over the upcoming weeks, making sure everything is running smoothly, and bringing projects in. I mean, that's the immediate goal here, is to start getting projects to launch with us. And so that's where our focus is going to be in the very short term, is on that. Once we are established enough where we have projects starting to come to us asking to launch, and the utility is, we've refined it, tweaked it, and we're really comfortable with where it's at, then we'll start looking at kind of the next steps within our roadmap. And so that's going to be the voting platform, which we really didn't touch on, but we are going to be doing a voting platform where the vote actually feeds into a top trending bar on the chart. So there's some additional impact behind the voting. And we've also talked about how we can better do the voting platform by mandating that you hold tokens in order to be able to register a vote, so we can avoid botted voting. So there's some things that we have planned in the pipeline, but for the immediate future, it's making sure that everything with the utility is working that we have out there now and getting projects to use that Launchpad.
So for voting, have y'all thought about creating a governance token to help y'all with voting so it will stop like bot votes and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we have talked about either creating a separate governance token or utilizing, our Ape token to do that. There's obviously some concerns that, individuals will buy in a lot of Ape token, get the votes, and then fill out. So we're trying to see how we can mitigate that. But we do want to take an approach where we're able to prevent botting and then also give better incentive for the voting. And that's where we talked about feeding that vote back into a trending on the chart itself so that there's additional incentive to use our voting platform. And there's a real reason that you should be voting. Whereas today, I mean, you launch a token and you get, I think there's like 40 or 50 voting sites that'll be like, hey, we added you to CoinVote 2.0.5, just the sheer number out there. So it needs to be actually driving a benefit. So it's kind of our next utility that we're going to release is the CoinVote, and then we'll be looking at kind of those, the nice to haves. So we've already checked off our must haves, and now we're going to be looking at kind of those tiered things that we talked about, like the wallet transfer and all those
tiers
things.
And all that. That's moving forward in your pipeline. Okay.
Yeah, that's moving forward in the pipeline. And then once we're comfortable with where we're at with BSC, and we are absolutely in planning works for making this utility work across blockchains. But we're not talking about it a lot right now because we want to make sure that we've delivered on everything we said we will deliver on within BSC and it's working correctly before we move on to the next phase of that. So we're not in the game to try to just throw out as much utility and hope that something sticks. We want to make sure that we've successfully mastered where we're at, and then we'll move on to the next stage.
I like that y'all focus on everything that y'all have now before y'all come out with new stuff.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, that's really important.
Very important because y'all have so much, and a lot to get out to the public. There was one more question that from a community member that we do want to ask, and then we can wrap up. We can wrap everything up. Let me see his name. One gentleman asked, do you guys have any plans for additional exchanges once your volume increases?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, is he asking for, I guess I'll say if he's asking if we're going to list to exchanges or if,
yes,
because right now we do have the ability for you to purchase any token on Pancake within our application. And obviously, as we start to expand into other blockchains, we're gonna look at being able to purchase whatever primary exchange that token trades on. You'll be able to purchase that right from in our app. So right now, obviously, Pancake is the primary 99% holder liquidity on Pancake, and that's what you're gonna purchase on. So we'll look at that. As far as us ourselves going onto an exchange, we might do that. It's not where we have set ourselves as this needs to be done or this is a priority. Most projects need to get on an exchange in order to expand their user base or to continue to be able to sustain kind of those pumps. But we feel that our utility and gaining that user base through our utility is more beneficial and is going to benefit in the near future more than getting onto an exchange. So if the right opportunity presents itself, we would absolutely explore it, but it's not something that we're focused on as this is a must-have.
Okay, good. Well, this was definitely a lot of information. A lot of great information, and I'm sure this gave a lot of new investors an idea of what all ApeLab has to offer. So we definitely appreciate you guys stopping through. Like I said, a lot of our folks here in our community
Hello?
are already started aping in
Oh yes,
and
yeah, we can hear you.
staking as well. So, someone had a
Hey,
question?
Oracle, yeah, Oracle, somebody has a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man. How did you manage to keep your chill as a team, man? I've been holding this is my longest hold ever, but like so many stuff happened and you always kept your chill. You always got your eyes on the prize, but like how I've seen so many projects go down like all the way by just a little FUD, and you guys, I don't know, man. Tell me your secret.
I know who this is. I recognize the voice, but yeah,
gave
he's
you a
definitely.
bit.
He's had it for a long time.
I was like,
I gave
know,
him a hard
he's been
time as well, but like, Jesus.
No, he's given us good advice, and he can attest to it. We've listened. I mean, that's really what it is you have to not take. We don't take everything personally, so we understand, and we understand the benefit and the value of investor input, and to your point, keeping our eye on the prize. We know what we're building here, and we know what the long-term vision of that is, and we understand. I will say 90% of the mindset in crypto is not necessarily the mindset that we like to see or that we need. And I'm certainly not saying that everyone's wrong, but the reality is crypto is, for most people, they look at it as a get rich quick game, and they're looking for 10, 20x overnight. And if they don't get that, they're immediately assuming you've done something wrong, or they're screaming at you, or accusing you of, XYZ. And so we recognized early on, we kind of level set ourselves that, hey, this is going to be a mind shift. It's going to require us to kind of change the thinking of what it means to be a successful investor in this space. And so, yeah, there are certainly days where we're behind the scenes hitting a pillow, but, we recognize that not everyone can see that vision the way we can, and the best we can do is come out calm and clear and explain ourselves. And not everyone is going to believe in that, and that's okay. Maybe they're not the right investors for this project, or if they want to continue with that journey with us, that's great. But if they don't, it's not going to benefit me to scream at them and call them names and to dump out. We've worked too hard to allow those things to negatively impact the vision that we have.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, like as I said, still holding, and I've talked, and as you said, you listen to the community as well, but sometimes also you don't, and I think that's also the reason why I'm holding. It's not like every time someone screams my marketing, you burn the marketing wallet. Great journey so far,
yeah,
man.
No. I will say that we listen. We take the community's input and we go back and we actually break it down and have a real discussion. Hey, is this something that would work for us? Is this a smart play? So, I mean, from that standpoint, even if we disagree, we're still listening and actually, taking the time to actually understand why those suggestions are being brought up. And I would agree. If we listened every time, yeah, we would have burned the marketing. Everything would be down. We'd be, we'd have burnt 20 grand on a TikToker who did nothing, or on Kim Kardashian. I don't know what's going on nowadays, but
yeah, no, but
that's
to
the
be honest,
reality.
I've learned, as I say, longest hold ever, but I've learned also a shit ton of you guys, man. Really, really dope project. And for any people listening here and not like really in there, give them a look, man. It's just give them a look. We've been trying for like months already. They really, I think you relaunched 2 or 3, and they're still here. They didn't give up, and they're pushing a fucking epic shit.
Invest better with Gemini.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we've always taken care of our investors, and like I said from the beginning, we've looked at where we
if you want to eat healthy and feel your best,
and
you gotta try
back to the drawing board and change our
Kachava
approach
is the world's
and continue
healthiest.
to innovate and continue to recognize the paths that aren't going to lead us to success, and putting the tools in place that we can recognize that and make the necessary corrections. And that's what's most important is again recognizing that you're going to have failures in this space, especially when you're building something from the ground up. It's going to happen, but it's about how you look at those failures. And for us, it's not looking at them as failures, but looking at them as learning opportunities, and then taking the next step up for how we want to be. So that's really been the mindset. It's just been a mindset change that's allowed us to remain calm and continue to push forward.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the answer.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, again, we appreciate your time. Appreciate you stopping by. Tomorrow night we have our first drinks and crypto night, so we'll definitely be talking about ApeLab tomorrow while drinking right here. So.
Oh man, I got some Coors Light in the fridge. I'll join you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm in too.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we're gonna be talking crypto tomorrow. Like I said, we'll be talking ApeLab.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel now. And today,
to take care of the drinks to some lucky winners tomorrow. So, but yeah, no, we're excited for ApeLab. You guys are more than welcome to drop by anytime, and we'll possibly be trying to do another AMA with you guys maybe after y'all have a few more have a few projects launched on the Launchpad, just to kind of see how things are going, since we have several of our community members that are invested. So we'll be dropping to your guys' TG and educating folks that come in here that have questions about it. So
absolutely appreciate it. We'll definitely be active with you guys, and definitely, anyone that wants to jump in, if you have any other questions, we're always available. Just send us a DM or type it in the chat. Appreciate it.